Alright, welcome back everybody to this week's video. This is card number 4 in our series of cards using the March 2021 Paper Pumpkin stencils. For this one, I'm just going to be using the mountain stencil. And for ink, I'm going to be using the Shaded Spruce ink pad, the Flirty Flamingo ink pad, the Melon Mambo ink pad, and the Mango Melody ink pad. I'm also going to be using the Stampin' brushes, blending brushes, they're amazing, some adhesive, and don't forget to have your scrap paper. I'm going to be making my own mask. So a mask is just so that you don't get ink on the bottom. So I made this one when I was first making this card. And what I did to make the mask is I put a piece of paper underneath the stencil and I traced it so that I now have a mask that matches the stencil. So, kind of cool trick. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our nice white piece of paper here. Going to get our green stencil for our mountains. Now, we're going to use the outside of this mask to put over this side. This is just going to make our mountains a little bit more smooth looking as we get going. So, get my blending brush that I'm using for cooler colors today, so for green for this card. Then I'm going to go into the green ink pad. Do your best not to do what I did and get it all over your finger. Then I'm going to brush off on my scrap paper. And then I'm just going to very gently brush over this, trying not to get any green on the stencil below this one. Now when you do this, you're going to try and make the top of the mountain more saturated than the bottom of the mountain. It's just going to make it look like it has a little bit of contrast. So you see how I covered the outside? Now there's just a big gap, big annoying gap. So to fill this gap, I'm going to slowly move my stencil over and add in the green using the edge of the stencil to make any unnecessary shapes to our mountain. Now we did get a little bit of green ink above the line, but that's not going to be a big deal once we blend out all the red on top of it. So now you're just going to buff over the bottom of your mountains, making your mountains completely mountains now. So, like so. Now you have mountains. So you're done with the green ink now as well as the stencil. But we're going to use the mask that we made from the stencil to hold over our green mountains when we're brushing our first layer of dark pink onto the mountains. This is just making sure that we don't get any extra green ink anywhere we don't want green ink. So, I'm going to use the top half of the stencil too, so that you can cover up this little edge over here. So, the first color you're going to need is Melon Mambo. This is the darkest pink. And this is how you're going to do the outside of our mountains. Just once I can get it open, you know, and ready to go, like that. So this is what you're going to do, like the corners in. And basically, anywhere where you want it to look dark, you're going to put Melon Mambo there. Because as you can see under the light, it's gorgeous and it's a very bright pink. So, I'm going to start right at the edge of the mountain here, and we're going to just start brushing the pink in. Same thing on this side. I kind of made it more flat on the side because I just kind of kept moving the stencil over. So you can take this and we can kind of stencil it over with a straight line except for this bump. So we're going to leave our main stencil there. And then we're gonna put this stencil over our flat mountain piece, just so that we can get a good stencil there. And then we're gonna blend in the pink. As you can see, the pink covered up that green spot easily, with ease. We're gonna do a little bit more pink over here too. More of the darker pink in the corners. All right, so that's the end of the Melon Mambo. Next, you're gonna use Flirty Flamingo, which is a slightly lighter pink, as you'll be able to see once I brush it off, so right there. And it's much more of an orangey pink, which is better for what we're working with. And this is just gonna go like this is kind of helping us transition from the darker pinks to our gorgeous light orange. It's gonna come into the picture in a minute. Now we're just making sure we get all the pink off before we go into the orange ink pad, because, you know, pink and orange don't really work together when it comes to mixing ink. So, and then we're just gonna make sure we're covering over the mountain good. And then we're gonna brush this yellow into the middle. Now the yellow is what makes these pinks pop, really, so make sure it's nice and yellow. And then that is our gorgeous sunset card. The pinks are a little bit dark on my original, but that's okay. So now we're gonna close all of our bright colored ink pads, because, you know, don't wanna get our hands dipped in ink. So then once you get all your ink pads ready to go away, then you're going to take your green ink pad again, and this time you're just going to stamp a sentiment at the bottom. Do your best not to get a halo on the outside of the ink pad, but if it happens, it happens. We'll just clean it up later. And then if you do get a halo, just don't press really hard on your paper. And there you go. We have a nice dark thank you stamp at the bottom. Now I'm going to take my white card base, do the usual, fold it in half, flip this guy over, put some adhesive on the back, and stick it down onto our card base. Like so. I'm in love with this card, so hope you guys really like it. Something kind of different. I don't usually do stuff like that, but okay, everybody, I hope everyone enjoyed today's video. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!